What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. J. here, and we're back with another episode of the Power Mixer Podcast. And I cannot wait to get into this, I don't want to say interview, a conversation with my good friend, Sahaad Washington, who is the VP of Mortgage Lending at Rate.
I was raised in foster care. So when you age out of foster care, you are immediately homeless. So I was battling a housing issue while I was pursuing education. I was pregnant with my son, was very young, and I had reached out to my old foster family. Her husband, who had passed away years ago, he had left me money. And she stressed the importance of home ownership. And even though I didn't understand, she was like, no, this is what you're doing. It was catastrophic. When I went to the closing table, there was no celebration. Nobody showed up. Lender didn't show up. Real estate agent didn't show up. Sign the papers, get your keys, and you're gone. Nobody explained anything, so I was just signing.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to have the experience that I had. I just felt completely lost. Everyone that I encountered in the transaction, nobody was black.
Wow.
And nobody was young. And so that is what drove me to want to specifically do mortgages.
Sahaad and I have known each other for a few years. She's excellent as a mortgage lender. Sahaad is very passionate about the real estate industry. We've gotten to know each other, and so it was only right that when we did real estate in Charlotte for the Power Mixer that she would be on the panel.
The lenders, I say that we have the most important job, because if you're not buying it in cash and you need financing, we need to be your friend. There's a lack of representation still here in Charlotte. I probably know all the lenders that identify with the black community. Do not get obsessed with you need a house that has all the bells and whistles. Buy the home that you can afford. And I'm probably going to get stoned for these statements, but I'm going to say them anyway because It's my experience.
Yeah.
Somebody dies, people turn into savages over property. Mm-hmm. They can't wait to sell it. But if you sell the family home, you don't get to come back and say, I can't believe what happened to my community. You had the option to stay in your community. You chose not to. Then when someone else comes in and says, I'll live here and I'll make it nice, we have outrage about that.
Yeah.
I mean, pick a struggle. You want to be mad because someone else seen value in your backyard and bought something there? Or do you want to invest in the community that you live in where you can afford?
You don't want to miss this. Sahaad is going to get to the business. And so get ready to check this out. All right, what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Power Mixer Podcast. And listen, my friend, my homie, Sahaad Washington. What's up, friend? Thank you for being on the show.
How are you? Thank you for having me.
I of course, I had to do this. And so, I was like, man, I cannot wait to talk to everyone that has been on the panel. Now, what people don't know is like we're fresh off the real estate in Charlotte Power Mixer. The streets are still buzzing from that actual event. I don't know if you knew this, but there was so much symbolism that, I felt like God was leading me to with that particular Power Mixer. So it was at the Skyline Terrace, which is on West Trade Street, which is close to Beatties Ford Road, or connected to Beatties Ford Road. Damon Johnson from No Grease, they have the Mosaic building. They have a location, a barbershop, like downstairs. Bobby Drakeford lives up the street. I think he had something to do. I know Hunt Werner. He built the building that we were on the rooftop of. And I'm sure that there's some houses around in that area that you've done some rates or some mortgages for.
Yes.
So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. So I want to start. Let's go through the journey a little bit. All right. What was your first job in real estate? Let's kind of set the tone so people can kind of understand how you got into the business.
So I worked in financial services doing personal loans, auto loans, all different types of lending. And the company that I had worked for, without saying any names, kept going through lawsuits for different things. So we kept getting repositioned. And I ended up working in an affluent area called the Eastern Main Line in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
It's where Kobe's from, his family.
You're from Philly?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. So this is on the other side of City Line Avenue.
You say this is what Kobe was?
Yeah.
Recipes, Kobe, Mamba?
Yes.
Yeah.
I ended up working there, and I knew that I did not want to necessarily work in a bank branch. Mm-hmm. And so there was someone there that was in the mortgage industry. She was a consultant. So I would see her come in with her suitcase in and out, and she would talk to us about, if you have anyone that wants to purchase a home, we can do this. And we just built a relationship because I knew how to qualify buyers. I mean, if you could write a loan, you can write a loan.
Okay.
And so one day she approached me and she said, you know, when you're tired of this, if you want to learn the mortgage industry, you know, I can teach you, but you have to come on as my assistant. And she didn't know that I had actually applied with the same company that I had been at. I tried to get into every single job that they had in the mortgage industry, from like the entry level to sales, anything.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't getting hired. So I came on as her assistant, and I learned from someone that was top tier, was already dealing with a pristine client base and wealth management. So that is how I learned mortgages.
Gotcha. Why mortgages? Like, you know, like, did you like just have a passion for like that aspect? Why not a real estate agent? You know what I mean? Like most people, you present well, like that's where they end up. Why mortgages for you?
So it's it's deep, but my backstory is, you know, I was raised in foster care. So
Really?
when you age out of foster care, you are immediately homeless.
Wow.
Once you're 18, there's no services really that are for you unless you are in a dire situation. So the college route made wonderful sense, except for college doesn't offer housing year round. So I was battling a housing issue while I was pursuing education. When I eventually got reconnected, this is just God's alignment. I was pregnant with my son, was very young, and I had reached out to my old foster family. And they were like, you need to come back to a particular area of Pennsylvania. It's like rural area. We call it the sticks. And anything outside the major cities in Pennsylvania is Pennsyltucky. Okay? It's nothing there. There's nothing there. And they were like, her husband, who had passed away years ago, he had left me money.
Really?
And she had gotten my ear. It was only for me. I was the only one that could sign for it, in paper bonds, if you can remember those. Like a paper bonds.
Yeah.
She's like, you need to buy a home. And it wasn't even on my radar. Now, this is a person that had bought probably 10 homes in her lifetime.
Yeah.
And she stressed the importance of home ownership. And even though I didn't understand, she was like, no, this is what you're doing. I was like, okay. When I went through the real estate, you know, purchasing my first home, it was catastrophic. I liked my real estate agent, but I really don't know that I ever felt comfortable. And the mortgage lender that I had, now looking back on it, I recognize that I was a very complex file, but didn't know that at the time.
Really?
I didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
You know, it was my first time, and the whole process was just catastrophic. When I went to the closing table, there was no celebration. Nobody showed up. Lender didn't show up. Real estate agent didn't show up. It was just me, my old foster mom, and some investors that didn't. They were foreigners, but they were investors nonetheless. Sign the papers, get your keys, and you're gone.
The closing attorney wasn't there?
We had a notary republic. We didn't even have a closing attorney. So in certain states, you don't require a real estate attorney. But it was just a notary public. She's like, here's your paperwork, stamp. Nobody explained anything. So I was just signing.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how big of an accomplishment that was. And I was 20 years old.
Wow. And
getting ready to have my son. I was like 9 months pregnant until years later. That mortgage, that property had a $463 a month payment.
Wow.
3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom.
Wow.
You couldn't rent anything for $463 anywhere.
Yeah.
So once, you know, I was back in the workforce after my son, I was like, I really just want to do mortgages. Like, I don't want anybody to have the experience that I had. I just felt completely lost.
Yeah.
There was no celebration. And so that is what drove me to want to specifically do mortgages, because everyone that I encountered in the transaction, nobody was black.
Wow.
And nobody was young.
Wow.
Like, nobody.
Yeah.
Just, I didn't see a single person that represented us.
Yeah. Yeah. You said your foster mom said that you needed to buy a house. Was that a technicality for you to receive the bonds, or
No.
she just was insistent?
No, she bullied me into it because she understood the value of homeownership.
Wow.
And I didn't. So I had someone in my ear that was very insistent about you need to own a home, you're going to have a home, you're going to have equity. And I'm just like, equity? Like, just give me the money. No. So I was forced into it, but it was the best decision that, decision that I could have made, because that same home is worth quadruple what it is now.
Wow.
And I'll talk to you when we get to that part of the conversation. I'll tell you a little bit more what she taught me, and that's about location.
Yeah.
Like, do not get obsessed with you need a house that has all the bells and whistles. Buy the home that you can afford. And she drilled that into me.
Really?
And I brought that with me into my career.
Yeah.
Is making sure that people are comfortable and going to be able to afford the home that they purchase, even though social media and outside forces dangle it in front of people that it's got to look like this.
Yeah, we're living in an algorithm now, I feel like.
We most certainly are.
Yeah. So, all right. So now you are an assistant with this wonderful woman that wanted to say, hey, when you're ready, you know what I'm saying? You know, welcome to Death Row. Like, she was like, she was like, yo, when you're ready to start making some money, like, come over here with me. So can you describe what that first year was like, and then how that kind of led you to become a more, like, to do mortgages?
To do it on my own?
Yeah.
That, the first 18 months, and she had warned me, like, you're going to be broker than you've ever been.
Really?
You're going to have to get out here and hustle. You're going to have to do all the things. You're young. You got a kid. You have absolutely nothing to lose. And shout out to Deb, because Deb, on the exterior, I would have thought she was rich, right? And she was also a single mom, and she had three children, and she had life experiences that I would have never guessed. Like, she doesn't look like what she's been through. And there was no fear that she had no fear. Like, she was like, no, we're doing this. We're getting it done. There was not an element of doubt in anything that she taught me. It was just, you're going to learn how to do this. You're going to get it done. We're going to make sure that you know how to do this on paper, because if this computer ever goes down, like, you need to be able to know the math. And they don't teach that now in the mortgage industry.
Really?
No. Like, we're talking someone who learned how to do mortgages with a rate sheet, like an actual sheet of paper, like these are the rates for the day, and a pen and paper, and taught me how to write a loan. Yeah. And
you had to do the math.
She made me. Yeah. Best teacher.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, then to make the jump, all right, so you go from her assistant, like, when did you say in your mind, like, did you already know, like, I want to be a mortgage lender? Like, tell me, like, the thought process to get there.
So, the company that I worked for, I went in with an attitude that I'm going to help my community, and I'm going to serve Black people and brown people and anyone that is underserved and underrepresented, like, with the cape on. That's the attitude that I went in with. Yeah. I learned very quickly from the large company that I work for that every institution is not built to serve every type of client. Maybe that's why they'd been sued so many times for similar things. Yeah. But it was so complicated and so difficult to do the client base that I was trying to serve that it was like, I can't stay here. And what ended up happening is she ended up leaving the company first abruptly and didn't tell me. And that's a sales thing, because you don't tell anybody where your next move is before you go. You just go. Yeah. And so after she left, there was a branch manager there. She was like, look, I understand the type of business that you're doing, but if you want to survive here, you're going to either have to focus on better clientele and not pigeonhole yourself. That is the term. I've heard it so many times. You need to get with people that make money, that have money. That's how you just survive here. Yeah. If you're determined to serve the client base that you're serving, you need to start looking for another job. Wow. Yeah. And so she didn't fire me that day. Yeah. But she gave me the heads up, you need to go somewhere else. Yeah. And so when I went to the next company, and I was 100% commission. I just want to throw that out there.
Listen. Survival of the fittest.
Right. I went to another company and they're like, oh, no, we can't hire you as an assistant. You know how to do loans? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, you can just be a regular loan officer. There's no special positions. Like now, lenders that work at banks, a lot of them are on a salary. So whether they close their loans or not, there's a paycheck coming in some capacity. Yeah. in the arena that I was in, it's you eat what you kill.
Yeah.
So I went to a smaller company, much smaller bank, that was like, yeah, you're going to do it. And I didn't have a choice. Like, I just didn't have a choice.
Yeah. So, all right, you make the jump to a loan officer, right? Now, when did you always have this feeling of I want to help people, or when did it become apparent like my people need help and I'm glad that I'm in this position?
So I went to a school, like growing up, elementary, middle school, high school, I went to a predominantly white school.
Okay.
My graduating senior class, there was only 7, between 9th grade and 12th grade, there was only 8 black students. In my graduating class, there was me and one other person.
Wow.
So, in our school, we had accounting, financial literacy, economics. This was part of our curriculum for school.
Yeah.
So what I came out knowing out of high school, I thought everybody else had the same school experience.
Yeah.
You know, grade school, everybody knows this.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how to balance a checkbook. Yeah. Everybody knows that you have to pay your bills on time for good credit. No, they don't.
At all.
And when I started working with, our community specifically, but I worked with everybody. I have clients that are all different colors, all different backgrounds. It became very apparent that the root of this is not at being mortgage ready. The root is at financial literacy. So you have adults that are in their 40s that don't know the foundational elements of financial literacy. Small things.
Yeah.
That is a much bigger issue.
Yeah.
So a decision for me was made that I'm going to control what I can control. I will assist the ready, willing, and able. And for those that are not ready, willing, and able, I'll always provide them a resource, because my job as a lender is to qualify the ready, willing, and able to purchase. My job is not financial therapy. My job is not financial literacy. My job is not credit repair. My job is not how to do something strange for some change on your taxes. All those things are not my job.
Yeah.
But I found myself trying to make all of those things my job just to get them where the start of my job was.
Yeah.
So I knew that it was bigger than just me. And a lot of it had to do with representation. Why are there only 4 or 5 of us in a city that's this big? Like, when I look at the minority loan officers, and we ranged in age, but why are there only like 10 of us? I know everybody.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is white, or, of another background, but yet our community is the most underserved. Well, this is why. There's no representation. There's nobody here to serve them.
Yeah.
There's nobody here to get them started on the correct path and take on the job that nobody wants to do.
Let me ask you, is that because being a loan officer isn't a sexy thing, or is it that, hey, when you're growing up, nobody says, hey, the loan officer came to school to talk about career day? Like, what is that? Or is it that, we getting there. Go ahead. I see it in your eyes.
I said this at the mixer, but real estate, at least now how we see it, real estate agents have the sexy job, right?
Okay, yes.
It looks sexy.
Even on Instagram. Shout out to a couple of people that they be stunting on Instagram.
Yes. TikTok. They're making a lot of money. It's flashy. Like, it's a powerful thing to be a real estate agent, right? Nobody comes through like, math is sexy and I like to crunch numbers. You have to be a special type of maybe a special type of intellectual to find the math element fun and be strategic with your problem solving. None of that is sexy. Like, putting out financial fires and reworking things, that's not a sexy job.
Yeah.
Most loan officers at the time when I started were upwards of 40 years old, and I use the term pale, male, and stale.
Okay.
Because it was a lot of older white males that had been in the industry for a long time. And that's not a dig. Like, that is just the data of who's out here doing this job.
Yeah. It wasn't even like it was a smooth, cool Caucasian brother. Like, you're like, this is older white gentleman.
Yeah, this is the guy.
Yeah.
And you have younger people in it, but it's just that had always been the representation that I seen. We just don't exist. And when you dig into the data, like even real estate agents, out of all real estate agents in the country, real estate agents that are black are still less than 6%.
Wow.
So think about that, right? Out of all the agents, less than 6% are black.
You in Charlotte or just nationwide?
Nationwide.
In the country.
Nationwide.
Wow.
Right. That's the stat.
Yeah,
So
but the algorithm shows us all of these black realtors. Yeah. Are we 10 minutes in? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying.
No, I'm with you. Go ahead.
But they have and I don't. This is not a dig at real estate agents because they work extremely hard.
Yeah.
I know a few very well, and they have a difficult job.
Yeah.
Okay. The lenders, I say that we have the most important job because if you're not buying it in cash and you need financing, we need to be your friend.
Yeah.
So there's a lack of representation still now. Still here in Charlotte, I probably know all the lenders that that identify with the black community, and it's not a black thing. This is just the reality of you have this small group of people to represent an entire community that we serve everyone. It doesn't matter what your color is. But when you specifically think about the group that is the most underserved and who is hit hardest by the wealth gap, it's us.
And that's data. It's nothing that you can do
It's
about
not, yeah, that's what the data supports.
That's what the data supports. That's a better way to say it. All right. So now you talked about it's not your job for financial therapy. That's burnt in my psyche forever to hear you say that term. But like, not only that, credit repair and all these other things that may be community focused or your passion, that you in your early stages as a loan officer are seeing discrepancies. How did you balance that and, all right, I got to do my job so I can take care of myself and be successful in my job? I
made friends with housing counseling agencies. So HUD approved housing counseling is free in most cities. I know there's one here in Charlotte that charges a fee, but it's for a very specific reason. But housing counseling is readily accessible and it's free. There are housing counselors that are certified to go over debt management, to go over budgeting, to go over the financial literacy components. That is what they are paid to do. That's what they're there for. The information is free. People will come to a lender, and when we're looking at their whole profile, right? And I look at my key elements, and I'll talk to you about that. I'm looking at this picture like, all right, before we get into anything else, talking about what kind of loan you're going to get, I'm looking at this picture. If you get your paycheck and all of your money is gone in 2 days, okay?
Yes.
You have no ability to save. You are spending your money. You're not paying bills on time. The first question is, are you sure you want to buy a house? Because what I'm seeing is if I get you into a house, right, what is the likelihood that you're going to default on that mortgage and be foreclosed on?
Yeah.
Or lose your home? Because the key elements are not there. So, early on seeing those components, I referred people to the housing counseling agencies. I presented a lot for housing counseling agencies. Shout out to the Philadelphia Urban League and Affordable Housing Centers of Pennsylvania. I did a lot of presenting there on my Saturdays, virtually, in person, and built relationships with housing counselors that I knew they were there to do this type of work.
Yeah.
And I built a relationship where we could have a conversation. You have a bunch of different families, but this one right here, this is what I see.
Yeah.
You let me know what you see because I want to encompass them. I don't want people to get to the point like, oh, we couldn't do it right now, right?
Yeah.
And then just completely write off the whole idea of buying a home without having someone sit with them and go through what they really need to get mortgage ready. That's what housing counselors are for. And housing counselors are so underrated. Like, people do not give housing counselors enough credit for the work that they do.
Yeah.
Like, line by line, budgeting, reading every single thing. that's the first step if someone is not ready.
Yeah. So you figured out that it was more important. Well, the way that you could achieve what your passion was, which is helping underserved people and families from a real estate perspective. You said, all right, I got to do my job. I can be great at my job, but let me be a part of the community, not take my hand completely off of these individuals, but find a way to help facilitate their process in being mortgage ready.
Yes. Owning a home changes a community. It changes the life of a child that has a stable home. The parents with their job, people that own homes that have stable housing, it changes the trajectory of the entire family.
Yeah.
So it was extremely important because of my story and what I experienced that I continue that legacy work and try to instill that in the clients, that you do have the ability to do this and we can get you ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the only thing that we absolutely know for certain, which is a guarantee, is that rent is going up.
Yeah.
So you can start getting ready now, okay? Or you can wait it out.
Yeah.
But what we know 100% is that rent is going up.
Yeah. So, all right, let's fast forward a little bit. What brings you to Charlotte? Like, you have a career, you're doing well in Philadelphia. Like, all right, Charlotte is the place. Why? Did you spin the globe like Prince Hakeem and said,
No.
well, Charlotte, like, how did it work?
So I took my first visit to Charlotte on one of these CIAA when it was still here. And a lot of my colleagues that had gotten displaced from that big company that shall not be named, they relocated to Charlotte because the company basically said, if you want to keep your job, you know, you can go to Charlotte, you can go to Arizona, some odd places.
Or we'll chunk the deuces.
Yeah, or you can take this severance package. So a lot of people had came to Charlotte, and I was like, okay, well, I'll come to Charlotte, I'll visit. And I should have bought when I started visiting, but I didn't. And
what was this, 06, 07?
No, it was
no.
It was before the like a couple years before the pandemic.
Okay, yeah, like 19 somewhere in there.
Yeah, a little bit earlier.
Okay.
So I came to Charlotte, and my thought process at the time was, if I have to get back to Philly, whether it's to see my properties, see my family, or anybody else that I care about, I can drive it. Yeah. I can drive it in one day by myself. I'm good for 9 hours. If I want to go see my brother, it's only a 2-hour flight. And at the time I was married, and my ex-husband and I, we vacationed a lot. And I said, ooh, Charlotte is a hub, and our favorite airline has direct flights to the Caribbean. That was the thought process. Texas was too hot. Atlanta's traffic was the most insane thing I've ever experienced.
It's bonkers.
And I was like, Charlotte, it's quiet here. It's clean. It's diverse.
Yeah.
People should love Charlotte. I'm going to go to Charlotte. And it was just that easy of a decision.
Wow.
Just pick Charlotte.
All right. So now you get to Charlotte. What year is this? 19, 18? 18,
no,
you're saying?
I was visiting. I didn't come to Charlotte until 21.
Yeah. Because I think we did some stuff like around that time.
Yeah.
That's when I met you. All right. So now you get to Charlotte. What's the first like Charlotte awakening thing from a real estate standpoint that you like experienced, like that was different from Philly?
So the average price point of a home was a little bit higher here, but you got a lot more house.
Okay.
And then the transfer tax, again, this is a nerdy thing. So transfer tax in North Carolina is like $50 on every $1,000.
What's the transfer tax?
Transfer tax is when you're conveying the title work for the property. The state and the county can charge you a transfer tax on it. Okay. And every county has a different fee. So in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, it was like, all right, we're going to split it. It's 4.28, 2.14 to the seller, 2.14 to the buyer. Well, that's a lot. That's thousands of dollars in the transaction. Yeah. Right? So put it this way. $200,000 house in Philly, you're looking at probably $20,000 closing. $200,000 house in Charlotte, which they don't exist anymore, you might come with like 14 grand, 13. Yeah. So it was much easier to buy a home here. Yeah. And I was like, this is great my people need to relocate. I don't know why we're staying in Pennsylvania. And I called everybody, y'all should come to Charlotte.
Like the great northern migration.
Yes, just come to Charlotte. Just come and see it. And then some people came and bought. But that was the first awakening. Like, it's not easier, but it's more affordable to buy a home here in comparison to other major cities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do want to throw this in real quick. So there's over 100 people moving here every day. The whole premise of the Power Mixer, it was born out of, when I went through Leadership Charlotte, I learned about the crescent and the wedge. I learned about, which is where, I believe on the crescent is where all of the wealthy people stay, and then the wedge being where everyone else stays. And just how that has been something that has been in effect since urban renewal almost in the 60s when my dad was in high school, right? And but now when I look at, from a social capital standpoint and doing real estate in Charlotte, we look at all of these things that are affecting us even to today, right? And so you talked about, being able to buy a house here and everything like that. All right, so now that you're here and you start with one company, right? Who shall remain nameless. All right. Now you're noticing things and you're calling other folks from from where you're from. What was doing business like in the real estate industry? Like, okay, like this is working. I'm happy. Did you get off to success like immediately?
Yeah. So, maybe it's a northerner thing. That could I'm just gonna call it an up north thing. We're more direct.
Okay.
And assertive.
Okay.
In business and in life.
Okay.
Because of the elements that exist in up north.
Okay.
Right? People are the elements, by the way. So people are very cutthroat up north in real estate. It is not for the faint of heart.
Really?
Charlotte, I was like, they are so nice. And even when they're not being nice, it's still nice.
So it's like the nicety.
It's type. The nice nasty.
Yeah.
I can deal with that all day long.
The bless your heart.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. So real estate, I met a lot of agents because they're out here networking and stuff like that. And it was very easy to me because I'm assertive. I got my foot in the door with some agents, and really it was like, look, you don't trust me. You don't know me from a can of paint. I'm new. I know I'm good at my job. I will show you I'm good at my job. The next time you have a disaster and you can't close it, just give me a shot. And those disasters came quick.
They come, yeah.
And I closed them.
Wow.
And it was like instant loyalty. Just professionally in Charlotte, I just think there's a great group of people here, transplants or Charlotte natives, if they still exist. I'm one. Yeah, you're like the last one.
No, Brittany. Shout out to Brittany over
really?
there. Yeah,
2 in
Bobby
one
Kearns. 3.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, outnumbered.
I never meet anybody. I know. I never meet people that are like, I'm from Charlotte.
Yeah.
But everyone is really nice here, and just professionally, there's not. There's just this energy, Charlotte is alive. People want to work. People want to do things. They want to make money. They want to be associated with people with money. They like the socialite vibe, And I would say it's cliquey, but it's not. Cliquey. It's cliquey, but it's not the type of cliquey that I'm accustomed to.
Okay. What's the difference? I think that's important.
So in Philly, it's like you are either somewhere middle class and below.
Okay.
Or you're extremely wealthy.
Okay.
Here, there's such a range where you can be middle class and below, but you're gonna look like you're really wealthy.
Gotcha.
I mean, that's everywhere. But I would never think Charlotte is not accessible if you meet the right people. I met you when I first got here, and I met a handful of other people, and for me, overall, it's been a great experience. I don't mind cliquey. That's everywhere. Yeah. I don't mind nice nasty. I'll take nice nasty any day over assertively aggressive. Yeah. In up top. Yeah. So, I think it is easier to do business here. So many people are not from here. Yeah. So many people are looking to do business here and just kind of find their tribe. Yeah. And there's more of that than there is negative.
Gotcha. Um, I did want to follow up on something about you being from Philly and you talking about being from up north, and you're just kind of comparing, like, you'll take nice nasty over that aggressive assertiveness that you get up north. And even from a cliquish standpoint, like, I feel like in other markets, like when I lived in Atlanta, it was like this is our clique.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to support each other.
Yeah.
Either you need to go click up, or you got to find a way to get in this clique, which is not going to be easy. Yeah. Right? Here, it's just like, well, who do you know? Who's like, who sent you?
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Who sent
There's
you?
a lot of that. I'm not mad at it, though.
Yeah, because, you know, if you get sent, then like, it's not like somebody, I think, shout out to Manuel Campbell from, he's like my brother from Aspire Community Capital. He said, like, everyone in Charlotte is pretty accessible.
Yes, they
like
are.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like, I remember being in Atlanta. It's like I can't get to that person. Have you noticed that people are easier to get to?
Put it this way: I have met the governor of North Carolina, I want to say, several times.
Wow.
I have never seen the governor of Pennsylvania at anything. Like, governor standing in the same room, like 3 feet away, come take a picture, has a nice conversation. Like, it is accessible.
Yeah.
It just.
It is.
I think I have nothing but positive things to say about the network that's here.
Yeah.
Even if it is cliquey.
Yeah.
I'm not offended by it.
It hasn't stopped you from doing business and making your way in the city.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. All right. Now let's get to it a little bit more. All right. Let's dig deeper. All right. So you get to Charlotte. You're able to start making your way. What was the thing, you know, of course you already had this passion about, you know, serving or helping the underserved families that exist everywhere. Was there a difference in what you saw here in Charlotte based on, you know, folks who were trying to be mortgage ready versus what you experienced in Philly?
The same set of challenges. Okay. Charlotte has, just like any major city, like, this is not Charlotte specific, but it's everywhere, where those that live, work, and play here, if they don't already own a home, it is becoming extremely unaffordable if they are not in certain professions or they make a certain amount of income. Yeah. And I feel like I've seen it happen overnight. Like, you can come through a city, I can drive around, I see them building, and I know what this looks like. It might not look like it now,
but you see just the
but
foreshadowing. I
know what's going to happen here. Yeah. That's even, like, I moved to District 2 based on community. Charlotte has such a sense of community. Specifically, shout out to District 2, okay?
District 2, for those that don't know, is what area?
The west side.
What west side?
Like, District.
You talking about Beatty's Ford?
Like, that whole pocket is District 2.
Okay, so District 3 is West Boulevard in those areas. That shout out to Tijuana Brown, Councilman Tijuana Brown.
So this, I'm not in her district. I'm in 2.
You 2.
Yes, yeah. I'm in 2. And I had met Wilmo.
Shout out to Winston Robinson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And didn't realize how much in the community he was. Just met him in passing. He was great. I showed up at some city meetings and stuff like that.
If he tell you to go somewhere, you might
show up.
Yeah,
you show up. And I seen the whole community come together, and I was like, wow, this is where I want to be, where a community will come together and talk about what's going on right in your backyard. Yeah. Where that is not something that I experienced living in a larger city. So I was like, I need to be where this group of people are. Yeah. So I moved and bought a house in District 2. Okay. But Charlotte has community. Like, there's a tag, it's one of these Instagram pages, like, Charlotte's got a lot, but that's really true. Charlotte really does have a lot and has such a great sense of community. Yeah. As an outsider, I'm very proud of Charlotte. Like, I can't wait to tell people that I live in Charlotte.
Wow.
Because I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm in Charlotte. Like, I just love it.
Yeah. And, you know, it's interesting to hear you say that because as a native, you know, I'm a little older than a little bit of the folks that's in this room, I remember when it wasn't cool to say you were from Charlotte, or people didn't know where it was. I was just at a Rotary Club meeting this past week, and George Shin said when he went to the NBA office, he spoke at Rotary, and he said that it wasn't the commissioner, but someone in the office said, all right, now where is Charlotte? Like, he didn't know where Charlotte was. And so it's interesting to hear people like for Charlotte to have this, this narrative and where people are excited to come here. So I think that's cool. Now, as it relates to, you have an interesting background and understanding on displacement.
Yes.
And currently, there's a lot going on in Charlotte as it relates to displacement, homelessness. Someone who's from West Boulevard, like the big thing there is, as more folks are moving into West Boulevard corridor, West and Wilkerson, like Wilkerson Boulevard, all of those apartments that are right there, right before you go into the city. Like, displacement is a big deal, right? And, I wanted to kind of geek out with you on something. You and I were at an event. Shout out to Shannon and Regina Fuller at Our Legacy Studio. We're standing in there at a real estate open house, right?
Yeah.
And you and I are talking about the recent post about how much money you need to make in Charlotte to stay here.
Oh yeah, that
and it was what, like 100 and I said it was 100. You said it was like 120 or something.
You're talking about my post?
No. It was just, there was a general post that's like a study that came out. So I wanted you to talk about, like, I feel like we're out, like the cost of living is like outpacing revenue, like really fast. What are your thoughts on that?
So, affordable housing.
Yes.
The first thing is to understand what affordable housing means.
Okay.
Affordable housing does not mean that you can make any amount of money and afford a home. Affordable housing is if you take 30% of your income, right? Your housing expense should be 30% or less.
Say that one more time.
30%. So you take your income, 30% of it, that should be what you pay in housing for the year.
Gotcha. So if you make $100,000 a year, 30% of that is what you should be able to pay in your mortgage.
So I'll use 120 because it's easier to calculate. If you make 120 a year gross over 12 months, that's $10,000 a month. Your housing payment should not exceed $3,000.
Gotcha.
That's gross. I tell people, you don't take home your gross. You take home your net. So what is your net income for the month? 30% of that. That's what you should be paying for housing.
Yeah.
It does not exist in Charlotte. And it also doesn't exist in most of these major cities. Charlotte has grown so rapidly in the last couple years that, just since I've been here, that the average price point of a home here, like a starter home here, is like $300,000.
Yeah.
I'm from a city, when I left, people could still buy a home for under $100,000.
Wow.
Right? A starter home here is $300,000.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about slapping on all the grants and programs. Find me a house that fits a family of four.
The basic joint.
The basics, right? That's under $300,000.
Wow.
Are you going to have your one-offs? Yeah, but can you put a family of four into a 2-bedroom house?
So, all right. Now, so with that said, at the Power Mixer, you really leaned into this effort for us to, like, we got big eyes and not big pockets, right?
Yeah.
And, we want to, of course, keep up with the Joneses, but what you really said out loud was what I know people do in the background.
Yeah.
So, which is when you're going to get a car or you're going to get a house, we keep it on a home like this, like, Lord, please let me be able to get this house. You know what I mean? And even though it's out of your budget and there's no way you can afford it, they still are wanting it.
It's a game that people play with themselves. It's called wildly uninformed and super entitled. That is what it is. That's the game that they're playing.
All right.
Wildly uninformed and super entitled.
Yeah.
Okay? the three core things, I call it the CIA, you know, because that's easy for us to associate with, oh my God, we don't want the CIA to come, right?
Yeah.
Credit, income, assets.
Okay.
Your credit report is the blueprint of your life. I'm going to know where you work. I'm going to know where you lived. I'm going to know who you paid, who you didn't pay, if you have any public records against you, you know, who you're applying for other things with. It's the blueprint of your life. If you're coming to a lender institution to borrow $250,000, okay, $250,000 or more, and we don't know you from a can of paint, the best way for us to make a decision on you is, well, let's take a look at how you paid everybody else.
Yeah.
That's how we all need to think about credit.
Yeah.
Your income. Is your income stable? We give you something like this, anything, a car, loans that people take for, you know, I've seen all types of loans. But you get this payment on this house that you like. Are you going to be able to pay it? Your income. Is it stable and it's consistent? Now, that's not saying that people can't have multiple jobs, but if you're trying to make the biggest purchase in your life, most people, if you're trying to make the biggest purchase in your life, and I'm not certain if you can keep a job because you've worked 10 different places in the last 2 years, I gotta ask you about that. Are you sure your income is going to be stable? Like this, you would think that this would be common sense, but it's not. People are like, well, I got a job. You got one now? Can you keep it? I'm serious.
I know you are.
And
it's
then
still funny.
your assets, like how much money do you have saved? How much do you have access to? There is this delusion that people are like, I'm going to buy a house for free. Okay? Well, I know such and such who did this. My sister, cousin, auntie's friend, when she bought a house 20 years ago, 15 years ago, right? 5 years ago, this is not the same market. We're not living in that. We're not living there anymore. Wake up. You cannot buy a house for free. You cannot buy a house for free. I hope when they watch this that I hope you zoom in on my face. You cannot buy a house for free. It's also incredibly dangerous to try and do it. Because then once you get the keys to the house, who's paying for your moving company? Who's paying to get your utilities turned on? Who's paying to your first mortgage payment, right? There's other expenses that are going to come with the move. Just like there would be if you moved apartments, right? So this delusion that I am ready, I'm going to do this, I'm going to apply, and oh my God, I can't understand why I didn't get a house. Do you pay other people on time? That's why your credit looks like that. Can you keep a stable job? No? Let's talk about that. Do you have any money saved up? No. But you want over $250,000. Okay? Because what you've seen on social media or what your belief system tells you is that I deserve to have that, right? What's not kicking in, have I done any of the work to have that? Because then you don't have to guess. You don't have to guess. People that pay their bills on time, they know that they pay their bills on time. They make an effort to pay their bills on time. People who save money, they know exactly how much money they have saved. And people that know how to keep a job, okay? I'm sure you know someone who stays with a job. No matter what they're doing, they always got a job, right?
Yes.
And then we know other people that every time you talk to them, they somewhere else. They've got a new ambition, right? These are, to me, walking red flags. And not because I don't want to help people achieve homeownership, but the habits that you are living in right now, if you do not change your habits, it's going to impact the likelihood that this house happens for you or anything else happens for you. People don't want to hear that though.
Not at all. So I want to. So let me shoot some bail, as they would say in Jersey, to a couple of folks. So what if they say, listen, man, you know, I was just as involved. My baby mama wrecked my credit. My mama wrecked my credit. You don't understand, like. You know, maybe, you know, I didn't, because of my upbringing, I didn't get to go to college. And so I've only worked these certain amount of jobs or whatever. And so people bring in all of these challenges that they've had in their life and in their lives. And they say, well, let's get there. This is the big bad man who is not understanding that I should have a place to stay and I should have somewhere nice to stay. And why do I have to do all of these things just to be able to have a nice place to live? To that, you say what?
I would say, well, since all of these things have happened to you, what have you done to rectify your situation? And then I wait, because I can listen to a long story, right? All we're really getting at is help me paint the picture. What have you done to change your situation? Because you know what it is. You know everything that happened to you.
Yeah.
Tell me what you have done to get on the right path.
Yeah.
How can I help you continue on the right path? What resources can I put in front of you? Tell me what you've done.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the answer to those questions are nothing. And this is not like, I don't want this to come off like this is a one group of people thing.
Yeah, yeah.
All groups of people do this.
Yeah.
Right? But there is not, getting a mortgage is not rocket science. Getting a mortgage that's outside of your budget when you haven't fulfilled any of the financial components to be eligible for a mortgage, that's where the delusion lies. Yeah. Because a mortgage is just a financial instrument. That's it. It's a financial instrument, right? You want to come over here, this is how you play the game. Yeah. The information is there. Yeah. But when people come in with stories and we talk about what's going on, sometimes their situation may not be as bad as they think it is. Give me something to work with. Tell me the whole story. How can we piece this together? I have time for that, right? Lenders and everybody is not created equal. We're all different. Yeah. You know? But I always have a consultation call in me. Let's talk about it. Let's see where I can insert myself in, like, okay, if I give you an action plan, right? Which again, my job is to qualify the ready, willing, and able. Yeah. But if we have a consultation and I give you an action plan of this is what has to happen to put you in the best position to qualify, and then they take that information and don't do anything with it, I can't do that. Like there's nothing that I can do with that. Yeah. And that's all lenders. Yeah. So you hear things, people are like, well, I called those people and they never called me back. But you did an application. Because there are lenders out there that shall remain nameless, you know, if they look at it and they see, like, I can't do anything with this, what are they calling you back for? That's a choice. Like, this is a career profession in financial services. Yeah. This job has customer service elements. We are not financial therapists. Yeah. It is our choice to decide, okay, do we have someone who's ready, willing, and able? Can I work with this? And then make a decision. Are we following up or are we not following up? Yeah. There is a lot of lenders. Yeah. There's a lot of people in life that if it doesn't fit into the box, you're not getting a call back.
And people have to understand that this is someone's profession. So if they're working as much as they can to try to make a deal work with someone who has something to work with, just glancing over there at a pile of unworkable files may not get a call back.
And that's not me, but with the calls that I get are, I applied such and such and nobody called me back. Yeah. I know immediately there is something happened of why they didn't call back, but I don't know what it is yet. Yeah. So complete your application and let's have a conversation so that I know what I'm dealing with. Yeah. And that's just anything. You got to ask the right questions because we don't know what we don't know. Yeah. Let's talk
about the delusion for a minute. You really you laid into the crowd. Well, not the crowd, but you laid into the subject matter at the Power Mixer. What do you think has contributed to that delusion? And what do you think we need to do to try to help folks get out of that delusion? Because you mentioned that it's not Pookie them over here. This is people who got... It's at all levels, all income brackets, from... you know, first-time home buyers that are under the area median income to people that have so much money that I'm like, how did you get yourself here and you got all this money? Yeah. It lives in every layer. Wow. And what I have said is that there is something that exists in the Black and brown community that's deeply rooted in us, where we do not feel trustworthy to come forward and say, this is what we got going on. I say it lives with us because as a professional that serves every group, right? I can tell the difference over the last 10 years when people come in, look, I got this going on. I got a divorce. I got that. I ain't paid this in a long time. My credit is bad. Can you help me? Okay? They will lay it out for you because they want help. As opposed to somebody saying, yeah, well, here go my
How much
social
money do you,
security.
how much money do you have saved? Right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, how much do I need? That stuff like that kills me. Right? It's us.
They might like, yo, I could get it though, Sahaad. Like, what you mean?
It's us. I actually just had this happen, and I'm like, why do people do that?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I don't want my credit pulled, right? I am 5 years removed from trying to convince people to pull their credit. You do an application with me, it's a soft credit pull. Hey, I don't even want the hard credit pull.
Yeah.
But to get on this phone and for me to comb through this, I need that application. I need to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then you get through all that after the song and dance and tiptoeing around ego and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You pull their credit. Well, you pulled it for everything else. You got a necklace in the mall.
Yo, they pull credit for necklaces, for chains.
Everything can be financed.
Wow.
Every if there's a way to finance it, somebody's gonna find a way to finance it, right? And it's like, you are afraid of me and you want to buy a home, right? But you're not afraid of
the kiosk in the mall.
The kiosk. You're not afraid of the TV that you just financed, right?
Yeah.
Like this is what I talk about, the delusion that the priorities are not in alignment. Like, I am here to help. I am licensed to help. My credentials are here to help. Your information is safe with me, but I can't guide you or advise you if you don't give me anything to work with.
You use the word delusional. Well, is shame a part of that too, you think?
I think with all transactions, like big financial transactions, this is an emotional transaction before it's a financial one.
Okay.
Right? I'm not shaming. This is...
No, do you feel like the person feels shameful about their credit score and things?
They may feel ashamed, but there is nothing that I haven't seen that really.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I have not seen. And it's like, what they're afraid of, if we can just get over the hump and we can have a conversation about it, there is no shame. A credit score does not make or break a mortgage application. The score alone is not going to make or break it, right? Depending on the loan program. But there has to be a willingness, if you want to do this, right? You have to be willing to take that step.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of fear base. There is a lot of fear around it, but there's also a lot of excuses. If you needed to go to the doctor and the doctor says, before I can see you, you have to get a consultation. We need to find out what's going on before I can treat you, right? Yep. You do that. Yep. Your tooth hurts, you go to the dentist, same thing. Let's see what's going on.
Yep.
Right? Why, when it comes to your money, you don't take the same sense of urgency, the same level of caring about yourself. This is just your money self. Like, you have to treat it the same. And if you feel like something is wrong or you don't know, you go to a professional to find out where you're at. What do we got to do? What do we have to do to get right? Yeah. That's what I'm here for. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think, shout out to Marsha Horton Barnes. I've always heard her speak. She's talked about finances for a long time. She has the finance bar, and she's also with Eventual, but she's with the finance bar. But the other thing too is that she always talked about the confidence that you feel when you know what your credit score is, when you work to save money, when you know where you stand, and you're conscious and you're active in your financial well-being. Yes. And I feel like you mentioned, there's some people who come in like, I know my stuff is in a wreck and I want to fix it, but I also need a house too. Right. And so they're willing to do whatever it takes. They're active in their effort. Like, what do we need to do to get people to take that step in front, instead of being in the shadows of their bad credit score or late payments, to go into working on restoring, rebuilding, and repairing their credit?
So for the credit component, you get a free, you can access a free copy of your credit report every year. Everyone should be doing that all the time to check for information. For the credit piece, it's a combination of willing to face yourself. You got some stuff going on, right? But it doesn't go away because you ignored it.
Yes.
Like it's like a leak.
Yeah.
If you don't fix the leak,
Or the mail, you like, I ain't opening
that leak's going, it's going to get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's necessarily like one side, like one thing is going to be the remedy for this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's always okay to start. Like just starting, like even if you don't know that you're ready, you don't have a clue, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Start and talk to a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't start, you can never finish.
Yeah.
So there has to be a decision made within self that you want this for yourself, you want this for your family, you want to pursue this mission and seek out free information, because it is free information, right? Yeah. There's no charge to get on the phone with me.
That's right.
I think I gave everybody my direct cell phone number at the mixer. And they reached out too. You have to just start.
Yeah.
But that's not something that a mortgage professional, a real estate agent, we cannot force you to start. It has to start within self.
Yeah.
And what I like to do, at least what I like to believe that I do, is that when the clients come and they do talk to me, like we're having a real life conversation, whatever you're coming with, I'm going to be able to talk about it. You want to talk about money? Let's talk about money. Yeah. You want to talk about, situations? Let's talk about situations. People that are divorced. Oh, are you in hell right now? It does feel like someone died. Like we can talk about all of the things because that's the experience that we bring to the table. Everybody's got something going on. Everybody. Nobody comes in perfect. Yeah. Even wealthy people don't come in perfect.
At all.
No, everybody has different things going on, and they just have to get past the fear of self. Like if I try this and I get told no, like that's not the end of the world. It's not right now. Yeah. Our track record for overcoming difficult situations is already 100% every day that we wake up. Every day. But if you don't start, you're never going to know what it could be. Yeah. Favorite conversation is when somebody comes in and they're terribly, terribly nervous. And I get to tell them, what are you nervous about? Because I know that they're qualified. Yeah. They go, well, who told you that? Well, what are you seeing? Looks good. For real? Yeah, it looks fine. Yeah. You could have done this before. And that's a confidence booster. Those are great conversations to have, even when people are not ready, to give them positive feedback of like, look, this is what you have going good for yourself. Yeah. I need you to keep doing these things, and then here's your action plan for the other stuff. Yeah. It's never going to be like oh, you're not qualified, I don't know why you called. Like, those days are over. Yeah. It's over. Like, people want to buy houses. Mortgage lenders want to close loans. Real estate agents want to sell houses. Yeah. Somebody's going to help you.
Gotcha. All right. I want to talk about displacement a little bit more. You said that when you come out of foster care, or when someone comes out of foster care, like they're instantly homeless. Yeah. Right? And again, Charlotte is experiencing a lot right now, with, displacement. There's a lot of folks who are, I think the term is housing insecurity. Can you describe, as much as you can, what it's like to either be without a home, even if it's for a period of time, and why, and how do you correlate that from what you do in your work from a loan officer and being in the mortgage business?
So displacement doesn't look like what we think. When we think homeless, we're thinking someone walking on the street holding a sign, someone experienced maybe mental illness, substance abuse. They look a certain type of way. That's usually where our mind goes when we think of someone being homeless or displaced. Yeah. And that's may not be what it looks like. May not be what it looks like at all. My experience was different because, I couch surfed. I did the things nobody knew. Yeah. And maybe my friend's parents knew but didn't say anything. But it doesn't look like what you think it looks like. But once you do gain a sense of stability again, at least from my personal background, you're going to do everything to hold on to it because you've experienced life without it. Yeah. With working with families, and this is not, when I say underserved, like we service the most underserved. I'm talking about families where no one is talking to them about homeownership or even putting it on their radar. No one is coming to serve them and say, hey, I'm here to help if you want to do this.
Yeah.
So that's not directly related to displacement, but underserved looks different, right? For work, and it's really a complex question, but for me, I take out the emotional part of what my experience has been, and I focus on finding the most positive things with the client that they are looking forward to. I try to stay focused on the most positive things to keep spirits up and to also just keep the negative, like the devil will be in your ear. You know what I mean? The doubt. You can't have that when you're guiding a family through the process. And I try to just, even if I see something that's terrible, like unless it's a need to know, I'm providing a solution and we're moving past it. Yeah. Because I want to keep their spirits high. It's supposed to be a positive experience. They're buying a home. They're nervous, afraid, emotions are high. Buying a house is like one of the most stressful things that you can do. Yeah. Even when I bought my house here, I think I drove everybody crazy. But trying to keep positivity around the whole transaction. That's what I do. Yeah. Because I understand that this home is going to change their life, even if they don't understand it just yet. They will in a year. Yeah. Or when they hit their first Christmas or their first Thanksgiving or the first time they have people over in their backyard, right? They have such a sense of pride and in self-worth and what it does in the, like kids, families, this is my room. Like there is so much joy that comes from homeownership. I try to keep people focused on that.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful. I'm with you. I want to know your kind of synopsis on the real estate market currently in Charlotte. I know a few years ago, I remember when people were paying insane amounts of money.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
It was crazy out here, right? Yeah. And then now we have the mortgage rates and things that are high. And then we talk about displacement. We talk about the lack of housing. Like Charlotte cannot build anything fast enough with the amount of people coming into the market. So what is Sahaad Washington's professional outlook of where Charlotte is right now from a real estate perspective?
Charlotte is in growth mode, 100%. Okay. Now, this is just speaking from a business standpoint. Yeah. I'm here for all of the growth mode. As a transplant, right, coming here and seeing a sticker price of $400,000, $500,000, we don't flinch. Yeah. Right? Because we know what it gets you in a different region. Charlotte is still affordable for those that are coming with higher salaries and moving here. Charlotte is like, it has all the things here. Right. It's amazing. Yeah. They're not flinching at the price points of the home. Okay. For the people that are here that still want to buy, if you can find in Charlotte and it's affordable for you, buy it now. Okay. If you can get close to Charlotte because that's not where you need to be, buy it now. Or strongly consider what your life would be like if you moved further out and your home was affordable. Yeah. Because that would happen. People get pushed out. They get priced out. As the few homes that are getting built, as they keep coming, new construction, and the price points are higher, those tax assessments are going up. Yeah. So the people that already live in their homes, if they're in fixed income and they own their property, especially the older demographic, need to seriously sit down and consider what does my equity look like in my home, and put themselves through equity education, which is something else that we do. But they need to talk about, if your life expectancy is 20 years, are you going to be able to maintain this home for the next 20? What is your legacy plan? What is your estate plan? What are you leaving your family behind? Are you going to be in a financial position to leave your family with a property? Yeah. That's one thing. And that's just one group of people that are here in Charlotte that own their homes and thought they would never experience what they're going through right now.
Yeah.
Because their real estate taxes are going up.
Yeah, man.
The cost of living is going up, and they only receive that pension, that Social Security, whatever the subsidy is. That's all they got.
Yeah.
It's not changing. For the other group that are families that live in Charlotte, should strongly consider taking a page out of other groups' books and commingling the families.
Really?
You have groups of people that come here and say, look, this is my family, this is my brother's family, this is my cousin's family. The three of us want to buy a house. And they know that it's going to take all three of their incomes to get into this property.
Yeah.
And they buy it together.
They're all on the deed. I mean, on the
They're all
loan,
on the mortgage. They use the three incomes. They're a family. This becomes a family house. And then they pool together. And this is very common in other countries. We haven't adopted it, but I have watched it happen. I've had clients that do it. Okay, it's been a year. We've been in the house. Cousin is getting ready to move out with his family. Can he qualify on his own? Right? If cousin can't qualify on his own, right? My brother and him, they're going to go. They're going to buy another house. I'm going to stay here.
Because I'm already in the house.
Because I'm in the house and they found a way to maintain it.
Wow.
Families, multiple families within a network should consider coming together if you got to be in Charlotte, if you got to live here. You can't do it by yourself. You don't want to be on top of your family for a year and then you can go get a house and this person can go get a house. I'm watching other groups of people do it successfully.
Wow.
They all live in one house and then in a year, okay, it's your turn. You're out. Go buy your house.
Wow. All right. And one of the big things we can't get out of here without talking about gentrification.
Yeah.
And talking about the impact that is like with a city growing as rapidly as Charlotte. And so I'll take where my parents live, because the scenario you were just describing is where they are. Like they're in off of West Boulevard. They're in a neighborhood called Barringer Woods, which I grew up in. My parents bought this house in 1969. And now Mr. Ham's house, this man that I remember, he used to go out on the front porch and cough and hack, loud in the morning, right? Well, Mr. Ham's house got rebuilt, and it's like, I think they sold it for like $400,000 or $500,000. The average home in this neighborhood is not worth over 100. I mean, wasn't listed as 100, over 100, like slightly over $100,000. Like I guess a few years ago, 5 years ago or so. And so, when I look down the street off of Beechnut, which is near Revolution, same thing. These houses are worth $600,000-$700,000 over there. When I look at Clinton Park, I'm not sure if you familiar. Clinton Park, same thing is happening there. I remember my best friend, he had a cousin, like when you get off the West Boulevard exit, as soon as you turn right, his cousin's house was right there on the corner. There's these new formats where you have like, I guess it was a duplex where you got two houses right there, but they're like gigantic. And I think even that said $600,000. So can you talk about like let's take my parents. And I think that's a great example. My parents who are living there, house been paid for, property taxes going up every year because of these new things. Like, can you talk about my parents and then a community as a whole, what we should be doing to try to protect against like this rapid gentrification that's trying to just like take over a community like this? So
I have a couple different feelings towards gentrification, but for your parents, they need to have an equity conversation.
Okay.
If there is a financial instrument that can help them increase their cash flow to manage things like taxes increasing every year.
And it's everything that you mentioned. They are both, semi-retired. Well, my mom is retired, dad is semi-retired, all of that.
Yeah, so there is a loan product, and we can talk about it when we get off of here.
Yeah.
But if they're of a certain age, they own their house, they're retired, there's a good chance they're going to qualify for it. But that program is specifically designed to supplement cash flow for exactly things like this. You need more income to maintain the house. And we can talk about that offline. Gentrification. taking a community or an area, adding to it, and making it better.
Yeah.
Right? Would we agree that that is the
concept.
the concept of gentrification?
Yeah.
Right? So when I got here a few years ago and I looked at where the houses were affordable. Now, I used to live in a community called Berwick. I used to live there. Big houses, very diverse. We had to have the big house and all this other stuff. And I was like, maybe not. When I said I wanted to move, the first thing that real estate agents were, well, you don't want to move to the west side and you don't want to move to the east side and stay away from Sugar Creek, right?
Yeah.
Because it's sketchy. They had so much to say.
I've heard many folks from up north said that their real estate agent said the exact same thing.
Oh, they do. It's a cancer.
Yeah.
And why is it a cancer? People should be focusing on purchasing real estate where they can afford and maintain it. It is not for one person, real estate agents, or for anybody. Like, I've heard it from the community too, like, oh, you don't want to live over there. You don't want to go to the west side. I'm like, well, what's on the west side, right? I'm driving through and looking around, and I'm like, you know I'm from Philly, right? Whatever this is.
It's like, this is light.
This is light.
Yeah.
This is nothing, right? You worried about that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, there's people walking around. Okay, well, that looks like mental illness. This one might have something going on, but they're here every day.
Yeah.
They don't seem like they're bothering anybody. And not saying that that's an excuse, but we poison our own community to convince them that the neighborhood that they grew up in is no longer good enough for them to live in. And we have outrage about it. You don't want to live there. Then when someone else comes in and says, I'll live here and I'll make it nice, we have outrage about that.
Yeah.
I mean, pick a struggle. You want to be mad because someone else seen value in your backyard and bought something there? Or do you want to invest in the community that you live in where you can afford? Right? Because this makes sense. You lived here your whole life. Your grandma lived here. Your aunties and your cousins live here. But somehow, this is not good enough for you when it's your turn to buy.
Yeah.
But let somebody else come in and do it, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's all that's happening. They're coming in. They're like, okay, what do we need? We got to be by the airport. We want to be close to downtown. How far are we from the lakes? What's happening over here? Oh, they don't look like they care much about this neighborhood. We picked this one. And it goes. Yeah. Right? And it goes. Because the people that are there, you're either selling your homes, right? We did a whole session that says, don't sell Big Mama's house. Yeah. And it's all about estate planning, right? Yeah. Somebody dies, and I'm probably going to get stoned for these statements, but I'm going to say them anyway because it's my experience. Yeah. Somebody dies, people turn into savages over property. They can't wait to sell it. They can't wait to try to get their hands on some money. Yeah. And this is all families. Like, real estate will make people crazy, okay? Yeah. But if you sell the family home, right, you don't get to choose who buys it. You don't get to come back and say, I can't believe what happened to my community. You had the option to stay in your community. You chose not to. Yeah. This is for that other group of people that have that mentality of, you don't want to live here, you don't want to live there. Yeah. If I would have listened to that on my first home purchase, and thankfully I had somebody in my ear that was like, no, you buy what you can afford, I would not be sitting on an asset by a college campus that's worth quadruple what it was when I bought it. Yeah. Neighborhoods change. Communities change. You don't know what it could turn into in the next couple of years. And that's all that they're doing with Charlotte. They're literally coming through, driving around, what's close to this, what's close to that. Okay, we picked this area. And then the process starts. Like, let's not pretend that there are not higher powers that be that make the financial decisions of how a city grows. Yeah. They can't do it by themselves. That's right. Somebody had to sign off on it. Yeah. Yeah, and a couple of responses to that. I think it's tough, for, and I don't want to make excuses for folk, but I do understand somewhat when there's, a family that's been impoverished for ever. And then now, Big Mama has passed away, and man, they come dangling that little bit of $50,000 or
20,000,
Just
whatever
enough.
it is, you know what I mean?
Just enough to get people excited.
Yeah.
And there's always an opportunity to pause and let's consult a professional,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You don't even know that you're sitting on a gold mine.
Yeah.
I have that conversation with people all the time.
Yeah.
Like, pull up the map, and I'm not a real estate agent, but I'm looking, and I'm like, why do you want to sell this house?
Yeah.
Explain to me, have you talked to a real estate agent? Have
Yeah.
you gone over what the value is of your home,
Mm-hmm.
what it could potentially be? No, they came and knocked on the door.
Yes.
It still happens today.
Oh yeah, like I my family has several properties in Charlotte that they've had forever or for a very long time, and the phone rings off the hook every single day. People knock on the doors and like make cash offers, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, this lack of understanding of what they have, like sitting on a gold mine, like and not understanding what the opportunities are or a strategy.
Yeah.
The only thing that they see is that somebody is dangling $100,000 in my face.
Right.
For a property that they finna put on the market instantly for
$500,000.
Yes.
Yep. It happens all the time, and there's not enough servant leadership to have the conversations that really need to be had across communities, not just Charlotte, in every city, because this is happening all across the country.
So it's not just a Charlotte problem. This is a nationwide thing that's happening.
This is a nationwide thing.
Okay.
When the powers that be decide we want this community because we can see the long-term plan, it starts.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an area in Philadelphia that's called Brewery Town.
Okay.
For those of us that are from Philly, it ain't nothing but North Philly.
Okay.
Okay? But they came in, we're going to tear houses down. We're going to rebuild these, 3-story townhomes. Still North Philly.
Yeah.
We're going to slap a name on it. It's Brewery Town now.
Mm-hmm.
Throw in, a couple dog parks and cafe, and it's something different. Just like that.
Yeah.
There's an area called Kensington in Philadelphia. Watched it, lived it.
Yeah.
And when it was time for people to buy homes when they were really affordable, I don't want to live over there. I don't want to be nowhere near North Philly. Okay? I don't want to be near this area. I don't want to be near that area. And that happens here in Charlotte, too.
Yeah.
People say it, like, you don't want to be over there. You don't want to be here. Why? If that's an opportunity for someone to purchase real estate and own a home, why would they try to leave if this is where they can still afford?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. And we're people are falling for the okie doke. Like, you're running away and they're running to where you are.
Right. You don't want it. You don't want it. But we'll complain if someone else comes in and says, you know what, we'll fix it up.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Yeah. So one of the last things for you is, you're doing such incredible work, right? What is the long-term vision that you have for your career as it relates to the mortgage business and what you'd like to, that you can share? I know you got, I know you're a little genius. You got a 20-year plan. What can you share right now?
I will say that, I founded a nonprofit organization that's a branch of a bigger organization here in Charlotte. And our key focus is going to be introducing high school seniors, college freshmen to all the various careers in real estate.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was a life changer for me. And real estate is one of those industries that there are so many different ways to make money in real estate, and your earning potential is unlimited.
Wow.
We can no longer guarantee that if you go to college, you get an education, that you're going to have a job that you can survive on. We can't guarantee that anymore. The pandemic has really shown that. Clients and people swimming in student loan debt, the uncertainty of what is going to come in the future. The only thing that I can see is teaching people how to make money and to find a way out. So I know real estate.
Yeah.
I know all the different things that can be done in real estate at 18 years old.
Yeah.
So that while you're going through college, or if that isn't your route, let me introduce you to some of the best people that I know in Charlotte that are in this real estate game that can introduce you to career paths that you probably didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
I am the anti-gatekeeper. So long term, it's going to be introducing youth to careers in real estate, and that'll be one component of it. The other thing is to be continued.
Gotcha. All right. Well, first, before we get out of here, tell everybody where to find you on social media and all your great websites and all that kind of stuff.
So my Instagram is The Mortgage Match.
Okay.
My website is www.findthemortgagematch.com. And on TikTok, I'm the home buyer advocate.
Oh, yeah? You on TikTok?
I am on TikTok. That's why I thought you were talking about my viral post, but yeah, I am on TikTok.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I appreciate you so much. We got to a lot today. I appreciate you being on the pod. You know, you're my family. I support you. I appreciate it. And let me say this because this is a Power Mixer podcast. The very first day that I posted about the Power Mixer, you reached out and said, I want to be a sponsor. And I'm telling you, from the bottom of my heart, I truly, truly appreciate that. That is what this is about. It is about supporting each other. I can't do this by myself. And to know that we got a partner like you and Ray is truly amazing. And I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me. I'll be here cheering you on and supporting you because I just love everything you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you. All right, everybody. Sahaad Washington, VP of Mortgage Lending at Ray. Amazing friend of mine doing big things here in Charlotte. I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next time.